So this is my second book review ever. Today I'm reviewing a book that I personally loved. It's Tony Robbins' first book ever. Tony has four really popular books. This book, Unlimited Power, Awaken the Giant Within, Money Master the Game, and his most recent book, Unshakable, that came out this year in 2017. But this is the first book that Tony ever wrote in 1987, 2 years before I was born. There's a lot of old school references in there, but at the same time, this is just as relevant today as when it was written, and just as powerful today as when it was written. And it's really good because it lays out all of the principles and the guiding philosophies that you're going to need in your life to accomplish success. Not only success, but fulfillment and what Tony calls unlimited power. So let's jump right into it. So as you can see, I took a lot of notes in here. As always, a lot of underlining, a lot of notes in the margin, and of course, the book markers, the page markers, And Tony's definition of success, I'm going to have this come up on the screen. This is from page 4 of the book. The ongoing process of striving to become more. It is the opportunity to continually grow emotionally, socially, spiritually, physiologically, intellectually, and financially while contributing in some positive way to others. The road to success is always under construction. It is a progressive course, not an end to be reached. So what I love about that definition of success is that it's an ongoing process. It's something that not just an end that you create one time and you're successful forever. It's something that you have constantly update and maintain and continue to grow and learn and build on your success. So it's an ongoing process of striving to become more. It's all about growth. I love that. So now let's get into Tony's definition of ultimate power. Ultimate power is the ability to produce the results you desire most and create value for others in the process. So this is a concept that Tony comes back to again and again throughout this book of success and unlimited power. And ultimate power is really the ability to create whatever results you want, whatever you're looking to do, and accomplish the goals that you're looking to achieve, while at the same time being able to impact others in a positive way. So it's getting what you want, but at the same time helping other people and helping other people get what they want. So how do you achieve ultimate success, and how do you achieve unlimited power? That's the question that this book really tries to answer. How do you achieve that ongoing process of striving to become more and that ability to produce results for yourself and help other people at the same time? And Tony he starts to answer that question on page 11 with his ultimate success formula. This is Tony's formula, and he talks about this a lot if you watch Tony. For anyone can use this formula to achieve success. All right, it's 4 steps. It starts with a first step of writing down what you want and knowing exactly what it is that you want to achieve. The second step is take action. Start to take daily steps every day to accomplish what you're looking to get. Third step is to review and read the feedback and understand the responses to the actions you're taking. And the fourth and final step is to make course corrections, adapt, and be flexible until you achieve what you want. So you define your outcome, take action, review feedback to see if your actions are working, and then you make course corrections and adjustments until you achieve what you want. And if you look at the stories of people that are massively successful today, whether it's Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Oprah Winfrey, like whoever you look at, they all use the ultimate success formula to get there. So this was written in 1987, so obviously a lot of those examples didn't exist at the time. But he uses the example of Steven Spielberg, who's made incredible movies and who we all know as a household name. And he uses the beginning of Steven's story where he was 12 or 13 years old, and he went to the Universal Studios movie lot for the first time ever. And he witnessed a film being made, and he sat down with the head of a department and had an hour-long conversation about how the filmmaking process works. And he really fell in love with making movies, decided that he wanted to be a director. So he defined his outcome, and then he started taking action. He showed up one summer to the lot and found an abandoned trailer. And if you really want to talk about positive thinking, he put his name, Steven Spielberg, director, on the front of the trailer before he was a director as a teenager, and spent that whole summer on the lot, becoming a regular, understanding the ins and outs of filmmaking, and getting a better idea of how the business works. And then by the time he was 20, he had made his first movie, and he was given a contract by Universal to produce a television series. So he defined his outcome, he took action, he reviewed the feedback to see if the actions were working, and then he made course corrections until he got what he wanted. Perfect example. Another great example is Jay-Z. Jay-Z, believe it or not, was not given a record deal when he first came onto the scene and approached different record labels. He couldn't get a record deal, so he started his own record company, Rockefeller Records, with his partner Damon Dash, and the rest is history. He's been able to dominate musically and business-wise, and in his personal life. He's got a beautiful family with Beyonce and the 3 kids and the 2 on the way. So he defined his outcome, he took action, he reviewed the feedback to see if the action was working, and then he made course corrections until he achieved what he wanted. So that's the ultimate success formula. Now let's jump into Tony's 7 character traits of successful people. This is something he gets into on page 16, the 7 character traits and qualities of people who tend to become successful. So the first one is passion. Having a fire, having that excitement that motivates you to get up early and stay up late. Second one is belief. Having an intense belief in yourself and what you're fighting for and what you're trying to accomplish. Third one is a strategy. Not just having a passion and a belief, but an actual plan and a mapped out strategy to accomplish what you're fighting for. Fourth one is clarity of values. Knowing what you think is right, knowing what you think is wrong, and what's important to you. Fifth one is energy. Successful people have, or they tend to have, lots of physical, mental, and spiritual energy and passion. Sixth one is bonding power. The ability to form and communicate and form strong bonds and relationships that unite them with millions of people. Thousands, if not millions or hundreds of millions of people. And the last one, the seventh and last one, is mastery of communication. The ability to clearly communicate what you're offering, what your services are, what your why is, and your vision, and what your passion is. So those are the 7 character traits of successful people according to Tony Robbins. Chapter 3 is about the power of state. So let's go over that quickly. The power of being able to change your state of mind. Tony says most of our states happen without any conscious direction on our part. Most people will find themselves in different states of mind, good and bad, and everything in between, without any conscious influence or any conscious control over their state of mind. So really, the difference between happiness and depression and between success and not being successful, according to Tony, is the ability to consistently put yourself in a resourceful, energetic, motivated, focused, and happy state of mind on command. You got to be able to put yourself consistently in that peak state of mind that supports your goals. So moving on, chapter 5 is one of my favorite chapters in any of Tony's books. It's about the 7 lies of success. So 7 beliefs and 7 ideas and 7 concepts that successful people tell themselves all the time to keep themselves going, keep themselves motivated, and keep themselves working hard. So moving on, chapter 5 is one of my favorite chapters in any of Tony's books. It's about the 7 lies of success. So 7 beliefs and 7 ideas and 7 concepts that successful people tell themselves all the time to keep themselves going, keep themselves motivated, and keep themselves working hard. So the first one is everything happens for a reason and everything happens for a purpose. That's a big one. Maybe the most important one. They believe that anything that happens, whatever happens to them, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's fortunate, whether it's unlucky, or whether it's horrible, they believe that it happened for a reason and a cause and a purpose, and they use it to their benefit and they use adversity to their advantage. And he quotes Napoleon Hill. He says, every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or equivalent benefit. And that's what successful people believe. They believe everything happens for a reason. Number 2 is there is no such thing as failure. There are only results. That's a big one. Successful people don't see failure as failure. They don't see a setback or a problem or a tragedy as a failure. They see it as a temporary problem and a stepping stone and a learning experience that they can learn from and help themselves become more successful. So there is no such thing as failure, only results. Number 3 is they take responsibility. Whatever happens to them, they take responsibility. So no matter what situation happens, they don't hold other people accountable. They don't blame circumstances, because if you blame circumstances, you'll never do what you need to do to find the solution and break out of that situation. But if you take responsibility and hold yourself accountable, you can look back and reflect on your actions and what you did wrong and figure out what the solution is and break out the situation. So that's why taking responsibility is one of the 7 lies of success. Number 4 is they know that it's not necessary to understand everything to be able to use everything. They know that they don't have to understand every single aspect in detail of every field to be successful. They just develop a working knowledge of what's important and they don't get caught up in the specifics. Number 5 is they know that people are their greatest resource. So they have a lot of respect and appreciation for people in general, and especially people that are on their own team. Number 6 is they look at work as play, and they do what they love. So Gary Vaynerchuk is a good example of this. He often says that his work is his oxygen. So they see work as oxygen, as playtime, and they look at their vocation as a vacation. They don't really see it as work, and they're doing what they love, and they're focusing on their passion. The 7th and last lie of success is there is no success without commitment. They understand that they can't be successful without a powerful, passionate, all-consuming, lifelong commitment to what they're doing and the cause that they're fighting for. They make commitments and they're willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish their goal. And a great example that Tony Robbins uses, it was 1987 at the time, but Michael Jackson was, obviously in his prime. He was already a star. Thriller had probably just came out, or Beat It, or one of those songs. And he talks about how Michael Jackson really made a lifelong commitment to his craft. He was singing and dancing at the age of 5, and now it makes even more sense because he sang and he danced from the age of 5 all the way till the time that he died at the age of 51. So those are the 7 lies of success, the 7 things and beliefs that you need to tell yourself if you're going to be successful. So chapter 11, let's skip ahead to chapter 11, is about the power of consciously knowing and understanding and writing down what you want. This is could potentially be life-changing for those of you out there who are like I was when I was 21, who had never written down what my goals were and didn't consciously understand what I wanted. So that changes everything. Knowing what you want, according to Tony, this is very true. Knowing what you want gives you a higher likelihood of not only being happy and being successful and growing and being productive and reaching your full potential. It gives you a higher likelihood of actually getting what you want. Really important to know what you want. Tony says, knowing what you want is important because knowing what you want determines what you'll get. All right, and he lists 5 things that you need to do when you're writing down a goal. The first one is, obviously, you've got to state the goal, state the outcome that you're trying to create. And second thing is be as specific as possible. How does the goal look? How does it taste? How does it smell? How does it feel? And what is your deadline for wanting to accomplish this goal? Like, set a specific date that you want to accomplish this by. The third thing that you need to do is have an evidence procedure. In other words, like, how are you going to know when your goal is achieved? Like, what specific results, response, and feedback is going to let you know that your goal has been achieved? The fourth thing to do is to be in control of the goal. Make sure the goal is something that you're in control of and doesn't involve or require anybody else to step in to help you accomplish this goal. And the fifth and last thing that you should do is make sure that the goal is something that not only benefits you, but benefits other people. Make sure it's something that isn't going to have a negative effect on you or anybody else. So chapter 11 is really long. Tony tends to put in as much value and as much information as he possibly can. I think Money Master the Game was like 700 pages. So this book isn't that long, but he puts a lot of information in here. So he also has a 12-step exercise on how to write your goals down and to be as thorough and effective as possible. Tony asked the reader, right before the exercise, if you knew you could not fail, what would you do? If you were absolutely certain of success, what activities would you pursue and what actions would you take? And that's such a powerful question. If you knew that there was no possibility that you could fail, what would you actually go and do? If fear of failure wasn't there and fear of the unknown and fear of success, if the fear wasn't there, what would you do? Then he has a 12-step exercise for goal setting, and to get the whole exercise, you're going to have to read the book. I'm not going to go through every single thing, but I'll go through the most important parts that I thought was most important. So he says, make an inventory of your dreams. Write down everything that you want for every aspect and category for your life, like the people, the places, the experiences, the relationships, the amounts of money in your bank account, the career moves and the achievements, etc., the health, the fitness, every single category and bucket of your life, right? And he also recommends that when you write your goals down, understand why you want those goals. Make sure next to your goal, write down the reasons why and your why for wanting those goals, and make sure that those are good reasons. All right, and he asks you to reflect back on all the resources that you have and that you have had in your life that have helped you accomplish things in the past, like all the good character traits, the qualities, the friendships, the connections, time, money, energy, degrees, education. What do you already have that can help you accomplish those goals? And then come up with 3 situations that you've used those resources to be successful already. Now, describe the type of person that you're going to have to become to accomplish those goals. Like, what qualities are you going to need to develop? What traits, what skills, what beliefs, what attitudes, what relationships are you going to need to develop? And what habits are you going to need to have to accomplish that goal? Now, write down all of the obstacles that are holding you back. Like, know what the obstacles are. So if you don't know what the obstacles are, you're not going to be able to overcome them. So what are the obstacles that are holding you back from accomplishing what you want right now? And then work backwards and come up with baby steps starting from today that you can start taking to accomplish that goal, that long-term goal in the future. If you want to write a book, start writing the outline today, or start writing your first page of your book today, or the introduction, or whatever it is. Identify 3 or more role models that already accomplish what you want to accomplish. So if you want to be a motivational speaker, identify people like Les Brown, Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, etc., and study them, read their books, make friendships with them, connect with them, learn as much as possible as you can from them. So the last 2 things that we have here are describe what your ideal day would look like. Like, if you had a perfect day doing what you love and what you want to do, what would that day look like from start to finish? And lastly, what would your perfect environment look like? Like, what would your perfect office and home environment look like? Do you want to live in a house by the ocean? Do you want to have a office with a view? Do you want to have your own office instead of a cubicle? What does your perfect environment look like? All right, the last thing I'm going to cover in chapter 11 before I move on is Tony recommends reviewing and updating these goals at least every 2 months or every 6 months. I recommend doing it every day or at least every week, but he recommends every 2 months or every 6 months. All right, so chapter 18 is about values, value hierarchies, the ultimate judgment of success. So if you watch Tony, if you've seen him speak before live or over the internet, you've probably heard him say, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Being successful, having lots of money and having lots of impact, but still being unfulfilled or miserable, that's the ultimate failure. And the reason someone can be successful and not be fulfilled is because they're living out of alignment with their values. So knowing what your values are is extremely important, because if your success doesn't match up with your values, there'll be an internal conflict, some stress, some unhappiness, and maybe even depression. So your values are what you think is important, what you think is right and what you think is wrong, what you think is moral, what you think is ethical, and what you think is unethical. So to be truly happy, you have to know and live by your values. Someone who is dirt broke or dirt poor and lives in very poor conditions can be 1,000% happy because they're living in alignment with their values. And someone who's like the richest person in the world, millionaire or billionaire, can be very unhappy, miserable, or even suicidal because they are not in alignment with their values, or because their success is violating what they think is important or what they think is right. But the problem with knowing what your values are, a lot of us have unconscious values that are taught to us when we're young by parents, friends, teachers, environments, schools, so on. So that he ends this chapter with an exercise for defining your values and knowing what your values are. He asks you to write down what you think is right, write down what you think is important, or write down what you think is wrong, and define what each of these values mean to you and rank them in order from most important to least important, and write down 5 different ways to determine if these values are being met or if they're being fulfilled or not. That was chapter 18. All right, so we are almost done. This is the last chapter I'm going to cover, like third to last chapter in the book, chapter 19, the 5 keys to wealth and happiness. This is very powerful. One of my favorite chapters in any of his books, again, chapter 19. So the first key to wealth and happiness is learn how to handle frustration. Tony, makes a very powerful observation that to succeed in absolutely anything, whether it's personal or professional or happiness-wise, you have to be able to handle massive amounts of frustration. There's always going to be frustration involved, especially because it takes such a long time to be successful, 10,000 hours, that you're going to get frustrated at a certain point, and it's inevitable, and frustration kills dreams. So you have to be able to handle massive frustration and not get phased and push through the frustration. Second key to wealth and happiness is learn how to handle rejection. Rejection is something that is also in the path of success. You can't get there without handling and pushing through lots of no's and lots of rejection and using that rejection as a stepping stone to actually be successful. So a great example of this that Tony uses in the book is Sylvester Stallone. He notes how Sylvester Stallone had to push through over 1,000 rejections from auditions before he got to get the role of Rocky. Right. So if Sylvester had never pushed through over 1,000 rejections at these auditions, he would have never been in Rocky, never been in Rambo, and never had that long and incredible career that we all know and love. So he had to handle rejection. That's something that we all have to do, is push through the no's so we can get to a yes. Number 3 is learn how to handle financial pressure. I had never really thought about this in this way, but Tony has a great way of describing how at every level of life there is, no matter how rich you are, no matter how poor you are, there's financial pressure. Pressure to make money, pressure to make more money, pressure to manage money, pressure to keep money, and once you have lots of money, the pressure of trying to stop people from trying to steal your money, right? So not having money creates a lot of financial pressure, and having lots of money creates even more financial pressure because you have to deal with the greed, envy, deceit, paranoia, resentment, and bad relationships that might come into the picture. So he recommends something from a classic financial self-help book, Richest Man in Babylon. He says, give 10% of your money away, use 10% on your debts, and invest 10% of your money, and then keep the remaining 70% for the rest of your expenses and to live on that. All right, the 4th key to wealth and happiness is to never be complacent. once you become successful or once you achieve anything, it's easy to get complacent and comfortable and not push yourself anymore. To keep and maintain and generate like happiness and success and unlimited power, you got to keep growing, pushing, striving, and remember that success is an ongoing thing. And if you stop growing, you stop pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, you might lose your success. So the fifth and final key to wealth and happiness is to always give more than you receive. If you've read any of Tony's books or heard Tony speak, he often says the secrets of living is giving, and giving without expectation for receiving anything in return. So success, relationships, happiness, these are all two-way processes of giving and receiving. So always give more than you receive. And those are the 5 keys of wealth and happiness. So that is my review of this amazing book, Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins, written in 1987, one of his lesser known books, but nonetheless, still very relevant, still very powerful, and can definitely help you get the results, success, happiness, or combination of all 3 that you're looking to get in your life. Definitely recommend it. Make sure to not just watch this review, but to actually check out the book and buy it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. I do this for 3 reasons. To help people that are looking to decide if they want to read this book, make the decision and pull the trigger to buy it because it's a great book. And also to give people who have read the book a quick snapshot of what it's like again, and so they can get the details without reading the full thing. And lastly, for people who maybe don't enjoy reading books as much, so you can get the full details and the full value of the book without actually having to read it. So I hope this was valuable for you, and make sure to leave your feedback and comments in the comment section. If you like the review and if you like the book, make sure to leave your feedback and hit the subscribe button and stay posted for more.